Everton and Villa are no longer winless. Woo! It was a huge... I know, that's go on, let's celebrate. That's a big moment. Come on,
Finally.
Blues. Come on. It was a huge 1-0 Merseyside Derby victory for Everton at the weekend in what was their final match at Goodison Park and their first win of the season. Massive congratulations for Everton. Massive moment. We can't applaud this moment without talking about how it in fact happened, because it is drenched in controversy. So if you haven't seen it, have a look at this penalty. Everton were awarded for a foul on Hanoka Hayashi in the first half, which clearly took place outside the penalty area. That goal then ultimately became the winning goal for Everton, meaning they secured that win. Rach, what were your thoughts first off on the actual incident itself and the decision that was made?
So I heard about it before I saw it, and I think I was probably expecting in real time a bit more of a controversial decision. Mm-hmm. But it is outside the box. I think the frustrating part of it, as I say, in real time, you'd be forgiven for going, I need to see that again just to confirm that was right. But I think with where the ref was and where the lino was, there should have been enough eyes to be able to confirm that was outside the box. Mm-hmm. So that is hugely frustrating for them. I know you're going to go into detail about what Matt Beard said after the game, and maybe you should do that now so that we can kind of dig into that a little bit.
So Matt Beard said after the game, I just give up with it, to be honest with you, because it happens every week, not just with us. It cost us the game today 100%. I just feel we've been let down by the officials. We should have had 2 penalties and we've had 1 given against us that wasn't a penalty. I think obviously understandable frustration from Matt Beard there. I think that's probably the least controversial part of Matt's statement. I think it then becomes a little bit more controversial when there's sort of seems to be accusations somewhat of unfairness and possibly bias creeping in. So he also said, I don't know whether they, meaning the officials, don't like me personally and whether that has an effect on my team. It could do. I've been booked for things this year when I've seen other managers do a lot worse and get away with it. That's the bit that I think has ruffled a few Twitter feathers. It does feel a little bit like, Matt, you've been in this game for such a long period of time. Like, you know how this is going to work. Like, you know that comments like this are going to prompt quite a lot of backlash, and you can't go around saying that officials, are hand in hand with some managers and not with yours, and that's why the game was lost. I think that's probably where he lost the crowd, I'm going to say. All for criticising bad refereeing because it was a bad call, but Rach, what was your take on this? Because you were just shaking your head there in exasperation.
Well, look, I think had this penalty been awarded in maybe the 80th, the 85th minute, I could totally understand saying it cost us the game. I think when you've got 64% possession, 17 shots, and only 6 of them on target, 32 touches in the opposition box, you have to take some responsibility for not scoring. The penalty happened in the first half, 41st minute, I think, in the first half. And look, I totally get it. Like, it is bloody annoying. But you had another 45 minutes plus of football to write that decision, and you didn't do it. And I think, yes, we can criticise the referees, but I don't think that's the only reason you lost the game. If the penalty hadn't happened, then what? You'd only come out with a draw. I don't think he'd been happy with that either. So look, I can understand the frustration when it's a clear thing like that. We've seen it before. We've seen it before with teams like Reading, where someone was so far offside, the goal gets conceded, they lose the game, they ultimately get relegated, and that's where you're starting to talk about managers potentially losing their jobs, etc. But I think in a situation like that, I can understand being frustrated, but to go so far, and I get it. Look, he's emotional after the game. Many managers are, and it's generally when they say things whether they regret or they get in trouble for, I don't know. So I can understand that, and you have to factor that in. But let's not get down the tinfoil hat kind of route and start having controversy about like referees having particular biases and stuff. I don't think we need to go down there.
Listen, Matt, if you want to throw shade at anyone for the reason that you lost that game, throw shade at Courtney Brosnan, because I've got to give a massive shout out to what I think so far has been like the best double save I've seen in quite a long period of time. Nagano with an absolutely great effort, like pretty much looked like it was slamming straight in that bottom left corner. Courtney Brosnan saves that, and then up for the rebound, gets like a cheeky little hand onto it and flicks it away. And I honestly, that's what you need to be upset about, Matt. If I'm being really honest with you,
she's the reason Everton won that game, not
all day.
The referee. So
100%.
I've got to say that.
Absolutely outstanding for me. Definitely keeper of the week all flipping day. The win does mean that Everton are no longer at the bottom of the table, but this was just their third goal of the season. Do we think this is a sign of their spirits lifting somewhat? It's quite nice to not be at the bottom of the pack for at least a week, I'd say.
I think when you go so long without a win, it becomes a bit of a monkey on your back and it becomes a thing. And you don't want it to become a thing, especially if you're a team that are thin on the ground in terms of injuries, that have no money, like you have enough stuff going against you to then start to have something like that.
Don't make losing a thing.
A thing, right? So I think getting a win is so important for them. I still think they're massively struggling in front of goal, frustratingly so. And that is definitely the area that they're going to need to improve. I don't know how, like they're creating opportunities in terms of the getting forward. They are trying to get forward and they created opportunities during that game, but not on target. Like that's going to be the frustrating. So maybe the next thing is scoring bloody goals.
I mean, that would be great. I think just to add some context to that. So in terms of the goals that Everton has scored this season, just 3. The only other club that is doing worse than them on goal scoring is Leicester City with 2. But even the likes of, West Ham, Palace, as new entrants to the league, they're on 6 goals. So yeah, it does definitely feel like firepower isn't their strength, and I think that probably could become a determining factor for them as the league goes on. It's early days still though. Like you've got time. It's not been the greatest start to the league for Everton, but
no. But I think when it's so tight down the bottom, you don't want to. I mean, we've seen Man City losing it on goal difference. You don't want to get relegated on goal difference.
100%. Liverpool won just 2 out of their 8 matches so far this season. Do we think this is worrying for a team that finished 4th last season? It feels like they're, I don't know, like the shine's come off a little bit, would you say?
I think they're doing the classic WSL thing of overachieving, raising expectations, and then everyone expects them to sustain that. And like we should all be learning that it doesn't happen like that, guys. I think a slightly thin squad as well. There, obviously spent an awful lot on Olivia Smith bringing her in. And potentially then didn't strengthen in other areas, perhaps. Obviously, with Sophie Roman-Hogg out, that is, that's a big loss, and I think we're seeing that. I think not that they've necessarily built around her, but she is such a focal point in that team, and she really facilitates quick counter-attacking football, and she's very effective in front of goal. So I think with her being out, that is a big loss for them. But he will be frustrated with games that they've lost winning opportunities. That will be a big frustration for him. I think he's done it a couple of times at the beginning of the season where they might be winning a game and then they draw. So it's stuff like that, whether that's the mental side of things, I don't know. And I think maybe that contributed to his post-match frustration, is that there's more going on that's frustrating him, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like you said, it's that element of realism. Like you can't always sustain that level of success every season, and it's not like they're doing badly. I mean, despite them being 6th, it probably sounds quite bad. I mean, there's all the usual suspects above them: Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, Man United. I think Brighton are the only ones at the moment who are kind of. They're doing business this year, but everyone else you kind of expect. Okay, well, like
it makes
I don't think there's much controversy with everyone else, but Brighton is like, fucking hell.
It's like an exclusive club, and they're like, oh my god, guys, we're in. Don't say anything. Don't make too much noise, okay? We'll just stay here quietly.
They've been so quiet about it. I kind of like the subtleness. They're going about their business. Currently 3rd in the league, like their best ranking for quite a long period of time. But all you see on socials is, had a great game, had a really good day out, got another win under our belt. Let's go again, guys. It kind
Don't
of
make a big deal, guys.
Yeah, it does. It's so kind
guys,
of low-key.
We're flying high, and it's actually happening.
Let's talk briefly about Aston Villa, who claimed their first win of the season against Crystal Palace in dramatic circumstances, with Ebony Salmon scoring a 94th minute winner. Another thriller do you know how hard that is to say, Finn? Another thriller last minute winner at Villa Park. Rage, what do we make of this game?
I don't know if I'd call it a thriller. I would call it dramatic, but I don't know if I would call it a thriller. I think Villa did really well getting back into the game. I think they were the better team in terms of the opportunities they were creating. I genuinely did think they were going to let it slip, because I was listening to this while I was shooting the Newcastle Southampton game, and the commentator was really making a thing out of it that they're going to get their first win. Here we go, like 2-1. It's the 84th, 85th minute, like it's happening kind of thing. Robert DePau took off Rachel Daly, Kirsty Hansen, Jordan Nobbs. I was like, oh God, this could be it. And Annabelle Blanchard comes flying in with an unreal goal. You should go back and watch that. It's such a good goal.
She's going to get snapped up, Blanchard. Yeah. She's flying too far above the radar now, that kid.
But I just thought, oh my God, they've let it slip. They've let it slip. Like Robert DePau will be on the sideline going, why did I make that substitution? Like I can't imagine the emotions going on inside of him, because he'd be like, we're doing it, we're going to get the win. It's the longest he's had to wait for one, and then they concede in the fashion that they did. And you just thought there was not enough time. Like you just didn't think there was a way for them to get back into it, that they had the right personnel on the pitch to get them back into it. Ebony Salmon, nay bother, what a cracker of a goal. That was where the excitement was. The last kind of like 5-6 minutes, 2 unreal goals.
It was beautiful. I mean, I was disappointed only because I know obviously I have a little bit of a bias with Palace, but I just thought like there's a lot of spark and energy with Palace. Like It's like in terms of like disruption coming up this season, like you've really got to like stick it to them. They go into every game with an expectation that they've got a flipping chance of winning. And there were definitely lapses of judgment, I think defensively, but I think I was just super impressed with kind of the heart and energy that they throw into it. And when they have chances, which are far and few between, generally speaking, they're kind of taking them.
Or they're getting them on target at least. Like they don't look out of place, which I think is what I've been most impressed with. And I've touched on it in previous episodes, but every week they look to have improved or learned, which I think is super impressive. What was funny for me was I was listening to that game and watching the Newcastle Southampton game in St James's Park. They had over 11,000 people at it, so brilliant atmosphere. Southampton winning it 1-0, scored a goal in the 7th minute, looked to have the game wrapped up. And as Ebony Salmon turned and fired that shot home, Newcastle scored with like the final kick of the game. So in my ears, it was like the commentator was talking about what I was watching, because he was getting super excited about this last minute goal. The crowd in my ears was going mad. The crowd in the stadium I was actually watching the match in was going mad. And it was this weird like synergy between the two things happening at the same time that it actually really felt like I was watching the Villa goal.
It sounds like a Black Mirror experience.
It was weird, but well done to Newcastle getting 11,000 up at St James's Park. It was bloody cold, but it was well worth it.
Love that. Another one that I feel like I'm gutted to have missed. Like, you go to all the best games, mate. Like, and I never actually get an invite, but whatever.
You can carry the bags next time.
Do you know what? I actually would. I feel like Newcastle's a good night out as well. I feel like I need to go up there and just experience the nightlife again. It's been a while.